You know, bullying is nothing new. It has always gone on in schools and playgrounds everywhere. But what's different now about bullying is the results that come out of it often. Victims of bullying are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than students who are not bullied. Also, harassment and bullying have been linked to 75% of school shooting incidents. It needs to stop. STARS Nashville is an organization that is working to do just that, stop bullying. And here with more is the STARS CEO, Rodger Dinwiddie, along with the Vice President of Youth Development, Eric Johnson.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you guys. And thank you for all the work that you have done all the years working with youth and issues. I can attest to you all doing great work.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for being here. And as I said, Rodger, you know, bullying, it's really nothing new. But today's kids have so much more peer pressure. They have social media that you know, that can reach millions. And these kids, they see that tragedies are coming out of it, but they continue to do so. Why do you think that is?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I think probably trying to simplify it to the best you can of a very complex issue where there's a chance for power, okay, where there's a chance to be involved in a power-based relationship where one has more power than the other or a group has more power than the group. That issue seems to be far light years ahead of anything else. There's basically 3 things that bullying is. Repetitive in nature, typically one-time acts aren't bullying, repetitive in nature, intent to do harm, and then the imbalance of power and strength. And so because of the venues that you talked about, social media and whatnot, there's so many opportunities to do it. But I think really at the end of the day, that's where it hits the rubber hits the road on it, power imbalance. And then the other thing too is a lot of kids confuse what they're doing with simplistic sort of jokes and not really taking into consideration the serious consequences of their behavior towards somebody else and view it almost like as a normal conflict rather than as something very abusive and hurtful.
Wow. Yeah, that you've explained that totally. I get it now. The whole power issue and sometimes feeling as though I'm just joking when it's so much more. A lot of times the youth that are being bullied feel alone. They feel like, you know, their friends or their peers or their teachers really don't are not doing anything to help it. And you feel that the social climate is what we need to address.
Yeah, bullying really fits in a context of an overall approach to school climate in a building. And I would say not just school climate, but like the climate of the Boys and Girls Club, the culture and the climate of the YMCA, after school, before school programs, wherever kids are gathered, it's really about how people interact with one another. And in order to counteract the negative, aggressive behavior that kids often are involved with, really a focus point should be teaching competencies that have to do with social emotional intelligence, how kids interact with each other. And that's, at the end of the day, if there's nothing that could be done but teach empathy and foster the development of empathy once it's taught in those cultures and climates, then we go a long way to stopping this issue.
Absolutely, and I know that's one of the things that you all are trying to address, Eric. You've got a youth summit that you call Move to Stand, and I think it's so important what you're doing, and it addresses bullying and harassment. Talk a little bit about this program and what you're hoping that our youth will take away from it.
This program is designed to take the bystanders, particularly a lot of the student athletes of the school who we know that the students have given those particular individuals power, and to train them on the harmful effects of bullying and harassment. Also give them the proper definition that Rodger talked about, imbalance of power, and allow them to be able to speak into the power that they have, to be able to give it to those kids who lack that power. And so it's a one-day event. We like to call it an emotional roller coaster ride. We like to say it's one of those things where you're going to be emotionally charged to be able to go up and you're going to go down. We challenge kids to have a full day, and having a full day when it comes to bullying and harassment is basically understanding the harm that you've caused someone else, putting that person in the situation, creating empathy so they know what it feels like to be that person, and also showing them that they have the power to change. They have the power to give the other people, to give them value, so they're less likely to be a victim. And so we do that through taking those athletes through our journey, and other student leaders as well. And so we asked them to take off this mask that they come to school with a lot of times, and taking off that mask and being your true authentic self. And once you do that, you're able to give the gift to other young people, and that's power, and that's respect. And so we asked them to have a full day, and a full day is when you laugh, because you're going to laugh at one of these events. We asked them to think, so you're going to think about the harmful effects that you've caused someone else, and we're going to give you that definition, a proper definition, and also some low-risk strategies on how to defend those kids. And then we're going to ask you to allow your emotions to be moved. And in the words of the coach, legendary coach Jim Valvano, that's a full day. And so we challenge kids to have a full day. And it's just an awesome opportunity. And what young people will tell us is that we love this experience, so we provide an experience for them. Like, don't tell us about the roller coaster, put us on it. And we'll allow that to happen throughout the day. It's a training. It's a 6.5-hour training that we take them through these processes on learning how to treat one another.
So how many times have you done the move to stand?
That is a great question. I was asked that earlier today, and I would say probably 200 to 300 times since 2008 when we originally started this journey.
I'm so glad, Eric, that you are targeting those leaders, the athletes and the popular ones, who a lot of the people, the teens, they look up to them. And if they say it's not cool to bully, then maybe then they won't. So you do a lot of role play, I would assume.
Oh, we do a lot of role play. We try to put them in that position so actually they know what it feels like to be that person, whether they were the disengaged onlooker, the possible defender, or what we call the champion. And so we give them an opportunity to identify with each role and say, what do you plan on doing differently next time? And we hope that we can shift the power from those bullies and give it back to the young people who are less fortunate, who are in that situation. And it's an awesome opportunity to be able to shift the power and the climate and the culture just by getting like minds together to say, hey, look, we're going to take on this challenge, and we're not going to allow this to happen at our school anymore. And we're able to see amazing results. Young people are so resilient, and they want to do the right thing. And a lot of times we just got to put them in a situation where they're able to do the right thing and meet those social and emotional needs that Rodger spoke about earlier as well.
And you're doing this not just in Nashville, but this is a statewide.
Yeah, statewide initiative. I'll do a lot of training as well.
I'm so excited
adult training and youth training.
That it's coming from us here at STARS. I think that's wonderful. You also have Diversity Day, which at this time I think is so very important to discuss diversity in addition to bullying and all that. So talk a little bit about, and you've worked with Maplewood, is that correct?
Maplewood High School and is it Jackson County? Jackson County High School. And the two principals, they're amazing they're amazing adults in the building who are very interested in changing the climate and the culture. And so they were able to come together and said, hey, what would it look like if we took Maplewood, who has a lot of diversity, and Jackson County, who has very little bit to none, and put them in a situation where they could learn from one another. And so we created Diversity Day, where we take 40 to 50 kids from each school who have been trained and moved to stand, and so we take it to the next level. And so they visit one another, they team up, and they have buddies and partners. They give a tour of the school, of respective schools, and they also get to go into the classroom and see how learning is the same regardless if it's in Jackson County or is at Maplewood High School. And they get a chance to highlight some of the initiatives and some of the really cool things they're doing at their schools as well. And also we take them through some relationship building opportunities as well, and also address some of those perceptions that each school has about one another, about being inner city and being rural. And we take them through a really powerful activity called the Privilege Line, and where they are teamed up with their respective partner for the day, where they build relationships, and we just tell them to take a step forward if this question pertains to you, a step back, and they get a chance to see just by location sometimes where you have more privilege than the other, but at the end of the day we're all the same. And we initially done this activity, it was kind of like, what are you guys doing with these kids? Well, again, we're taking them through the experience, and the kids love it. And at the very end, we sat back and we processed, like, what really happened? What was some of the stereotypes of the myths that you had about each school? And one of the kids from Maplewood, when we were in Jackson County, I never forget this, he said, the only difference between Maplewood and Jackson County is 88 miles. That was it. Or 100 miles or something along those lines. Exactly the same. And so we've been able to do this for the last couple years, and the two principals who have been really instrumental in taking this risk, because it's a risk to bring these two schools together, have just seen the value in it. And there's other schools across the county, across Tennessee, who are very interested in this model as well. So we're hoping to be able to launch that soon. Yeah. So
STARS Nashville, changing the mindset of our youth, and I think what you're doing is incredible work. If people want to know how they can get perhaps their school or their youth involved, what should they do, Rodger?
Do two things. Either go to our website, which is simply starsnashville.org, or give us a call at 615-279-0058. And we'll be glad to get in touch with you about helping your school address some of these issues as well.
Well, you all have done a remarkable job for many, many years.
Thanks
I can
for
attest to that, and I'm so glad, Eric and Rodger, to have you as my guest today.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
being
you,
here.
guys.
You're very, very welcome. I also want to thank my earlier guests for being here, Dr. Andrew Sandler and Mary Ellen Rodgers from Abe's Garden. And, of course, thank you for watching. So glad you stopped by. I'm Tuwanda, and I'll see you next time on the Plus Side of Nashville.